If you are struggling with finding time to market your book and you just have very limited time, or you just don't want to spend that much time on marketing, we are in the same boat, and I have some ideas. This first one, I want to try an Amazon ads experiment. I have not been marketing my books well in at least a year. And I'm excited to get back to it and promote them again, but I just don't have a lot of time. I have a 3-year-old son and this cute little almost 2-month-old daughter. So I am in the thick of no time. And if you can relate, let me know. But what I'm thinking is, what kinds of marketing can I do that just take little pockets of time, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and I have a plan for these Amazon ads, okay? So check this out. I've got 4 steps and my goal to do ads for 1 month and see if they increase my book sales. The start date of the first ad, I will put here because I'm not sure it's gonna be today. Oh, I just don't think I have enough time knowing how things have been going. But I am gonna start my plan, my method here. I just don't know if I'll start the actual ad today. But anyway, let me tell you my 4 steps. So step 1 is to analyze and improve my sales page. You might be like, wait, what? That has nothing to do with ads, but let me explain. I wrote this down. I was like, ads are about getting eyeballs on the book, right? But if it's a bad book, those eyeballs are gonna move on. They're not gonna buy. So I have to do my part, right, in making the book something they want to buy once they see it, because the ads are just about getting them to see it. That's all that they're gonna do. So I still have to do my part in making the book something worth buying. And I've done this, what's called optimizing, many times before. So I can tell you some of the things that I've done and we'll talk about that. But I'm still gonna take a look at it again today because I think it's always worth taking a look at every so often just to make sure, like, am I making this the best it can be? So we'll talk about that. We want the eyeballs to zoom in and be unable to look away. Step 2, brainstorm the keywords. And that just means anything that's getting typed into the search bar, right? So what are your readers actually typing in when they're looking for books like yours? So this is going to include, but not limited to, like favorite reader tropes, how readers would describe your book, other authors like you that your readers love, and other books like yours that your readers love. So they don't have to be exactly the same, but like similarities. You know what I mean? Step 3, set up an ad for book 1. So I personally have a series, and so I would not do ads on like later books in the series. Mine is a consecutive series, meaning you got to start with book 1 and read in order. If I had a series of standalone someday, then I could potentially just pick my favorite book and be like, that's the one I'm going to do ads on, if it didn't matter where a reader comes in. But right now, I'm doing just book 1. I have actually 2 series that I would enjoy doing an ad on, but we're going to just start with The Stolen Kingdom because it's kind of like my bestseller book, I guess. I don't know. Step 4, I'm going to follow my results. Obviously, I need to see if it works. So my plan is to check in daily out of curiosity, but from my understanding, it doesn't actually change that much day to day, and you have to kind of wait it out. So I'm going to do like weekly check-ins, and then I'll let you know my end results at the end of the month. Okay, step 1. The sales page check. Again, this is really important, so don't skip this one. I am gonna try to breeze through it really quick because I actually have a magic window where both kids are asleep, and I don't know how long it's gonna last, especially my 1-month-old. So I wrote down, we're gonna check the cover, a couple notes there, we're gonna look at reviews, not a lot you can do, but we'll talk about it. Price and a description, which honestly is probably the most important. So let's go over to Amazon. This is my book, The Stolen Kingdom, and so the cover is the first thing. I have actually already optimized my cover a few times, believe it or not. So I have the original cover, which was beautiful, but not super clear what it was, right? So then I actually redid the cover to this for the hardcover, and this one really performed well. I think it said it was Aladdin to me. Not everybody likes people covers, but I think it did pretty well, and technically it's still the hardcover, just so you know. I really like it, but I did realize through some advice from author friends who are doing really well that it could get even better. So I ended up with this cover, which is what it is currently, and I actually designed it myself. I have this video. If you're curious, I'll link it below. But anyway, coming back to this. So the cover is honestly one of the most important ones, and I have lots of videos on my channel in the past talking about covers and how important they are. So I'm not gonna like dive deep into that today, but if you feel like maybe my cover's not totally fitting the genre, the 2 questions to ask yourself: does it fit the genre? Does it feel like, hey, if people look at this, they're gonna know exactly what it is? Because that's why I updated my cover. Like, oh, okay, this looks like fantasy. It's got like a fantasy vibe with the saturated colors, things like that. It does not look like, you know, a historical romance or like a thriller. You can tell what it is. The second thing that I put is the title readable. I think that one, hopefully, if you have a good cover designer, you're solid there for both of those, but it's worth checking. So let's go into reviews. The Stolen Kingdom has a lot of reviews, which is awesome. Now, you might be like, I can't control this, Bethany. Why are you bringing this up? I think you can control it to a certain point. Not control, that's not the right word, but you can grow your reviews simply by asking your readers to review. So if somebody messages you on social media and is like, hey, I loved your book, say thank you so much. Would you be willing to leave a review saying that? Or even just a star rating? Everything helps me so much. Or if you just want to do like a story, especially around release or maybe around a 1-year anniversary, things like that, be like, let's celebrate. We're at this many reviews, maybe we hit 50 or 25. Can you guys help me out and get me to this XYZ next number? That would be amazing. You're not allowed on Amazon to pay for reviews, just keep that in mind. But there are certain places like NetGalley, which I have a video on, I'll link that below, where you actually can get reviews through these places. I think there are other websites as well, but NetGalley is the one that I'm familiar with. Next on my list is price. I'm not gonna go super in depth on this. I just think it's worth checking and being like, am I pretty similar to other books in my genre? Could I drop it down a bit or maybe bring it up? Sometimes it's kind of funny. You'd think that it wouldn't work this way, but if a reader sees like a 99-cent book, they might be like, it's probably not worth that much. It might not be that good. And if you actually bring it up to like $3.99 or $4.99 or whatever is like similar in your genre, more readers might actually be interested. So worth considering. Last but not least is the description. And I put specifically the hook or the first line, which we'll talk about. And then last but not least, leaving your reader with this feeling of, I need to know what happens. So you'll find the blurb all the way down here. They call it book overview on Amazon. This is just what I have currently. I've actually updated my blurb multiple times. I actually just recently did a video on writing a book blurb or description or whatever right here. So I'll link that below. It's more of a deep dive. But one of the biggest things that I say in that video, and which is worth mentioning again, you can always change it. And actually I would periodically update your blurb, even just in little ways. So I've actually specifically changed my hook, which is that first line, tried a few different things over time. And then I've also added things like, if you enjoy clean romance, adventure, and intrigue, grab your copy today. I've added this what readers are saying section that was based on reviews. So that wasn't there when the book first came out, but when I went through reviews, I grabbed some of the favorites. And then I also added what's called a reading order right here. These are all things you can add, you can update, and it's worth doing to optimize your book sales page. If it makes the book more intriguing to a reader, or again, makes them need to know more, that is a good sales page. It's doing its job. I don't have a ton of time to do a lot of optimization, but fortunately I've done a bunch in the past. So I feel good about my price and the cover and the reviews. I've been working hard on all those things over the last few years, but I feel like I could test out some things in the description potentially. And I need to kind of rework this, but so far I have Aladdin meets Ocean's 11 in this fairy tale retelling when a handsome thief invites a runaway princess to join his crew on their hunt for the elusive Ginny lamp. Both of them desperately need it, but for very different reasons. I need to do some editing and tweaking, so that's just my rough draft. We'll see how it lands, but I do want to attempt to try a different hook, that first line. Again, the kind of bolded, usually first line. So that's what I'm thinking so far. And then on the back end of things, I also want to, if I can later today, take some time to go into my KDP dashboard. That's the publisher side, not the reader side, and look at the keywords and categories, because I haven't done that in at least a year, probably more like 2 or more. And I just want to see what the heck's in there, because I think there are a bunch of keywords that I could potentially add. And in case I forgot to say this earlier on in the video, a keyword is just something that your reader's typing into the search bar on Amazon. So for instance, right now, currently, a lot of readers are typing things like no spice YA fantasy reads, or no spice romantasy, or just romantasy, things like that. And those were definitely not keywords back when I last did them, because they're kind of newer terms. So I could add those types of keywords potentially now. So I feel pretty good about my sales page. I just want to work on that hook and update it. And then I think I said keywords and categories, but I just realized that's actually step 2. So as soon as I kind of finalize that hook and figure out something that would be a good test to try for this Amazon ads experiment, then I will be ready to move on to step 2. Before I move on to step 3, I realized back on Black Friday I purchased Publisher Rocket, which is something you can use for keywords. Actually, you can use it for multiple things. You can use it for the back-end keywords, like setting up your book to get it into the right places for readers to search, but you can also use it for Amazon ads and apparently competitor research and other things. So I never actually started using it. I'm embarrassed to say I just was not up to it, being 8.5 to 9 months pregnant. And then I had my little girl, who you can't see, but she's right here in a little bouncer next to me. So if you hear baby sounds, that's what's happening right there. Anyhow, I actually downloaded it officially today and I started playing around. I watched a couple tutorials and I realized that this is literally perfect, because what it can do is it can take those keywords that I just showed you that I was coming up with, and then you can analyze if they're actually going to work. And you can find out things like how many people are actually searching this, and supposedly how much money can be made off that sale. Stay tuned, I'm still testing it, but if I like it and if it turns out to be valuable on the Amazon ad side, I will probably sign up to be an affiliate, and I'll put my link below if you want. So I'm gonna actually watch that tutorial right now, and I'm just gonna see how it compares with my like kind of manual keyword research that I just showed you. Again, you don't have to do this. You could totally do it the manual research way and just like hope that it works, which is what I've always done. But I am actually really curious if this is going to make a difference for my Amazon ads. Okay, this is exciting. According to this tutorial, I get a free video on how to sell books with Amazon ads. So I'm gonna probably watch, first of all, this tutorial the rest of the way, and then this Amazon ads course that's free. I hope it's not super in-depth, but I'm definitely gonna watch it, because I don't want to just wing it, you know? I want to get it right. All right, I'm running out of daylight, but I watched the Amazon ads course, pieces of it, and I feel ready. I took notes so that we can do this together. You start on your KDP dashboard and you scroll down to the book. You right click these 3 dots, and I believe here, the promote and advertise button. You're gonna scroll down to this right side, and I'm in the US, so I'm gonna pick Amazon.com and start a campaign. This is the one I wanna do. I could do a sponsor brand, but I don't know anything about that. So we're gonna click sponsored products. And I'm gonna come back up to the top in a minute, but see, it picked my book here. So we wanna do manual targeting, and we wanna do keywords, because this product one I don't understand. I don't know much about that. And then we're gonna actually put in our list of keywords, okay? So I took this original one that I did in the notes, and then I put it over in like a Google spreadsheet and kind of organized them so that potentially if I wanted, I could do ads in the future where I only do the search terms, or I only do comp books or something like that. I'm just gonna do everything. I'm gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and try it all. See if this works. Okay, I think there might be some duplicates here too, because I made my list and then I did the Publisher Rocket that I remembered I had. So the Publisher Rocket has a lot. Look at that. That's awesome. Okay, we're just gonna do all of it. When I was watching the videos, he said something about like try to have 300 keywords. And I was like, okay, if you say so. Add keywords, let's see. 238. Oh, 651 of them, but 238 don't have a suggested bid. They said to do broad, right? Oh, I actually had 753, but they weren't all added successfully. Okay, and then I wanted to do, was it custom bid? Yeah, I wanted to do like 65 cents custom, or was it the default? No, custom. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so next was the negative keyword targeting. It's optional, but he said to put in like free book, free ebook, or he said put in things that might confuse people. So like, I do not want spicy to be a thing, because my books are not spicy, or like steamy. We're gonna put those as like negative keywords, like don't search those words. So then next, the creative, as it's called, is that writing that hook that we talked about. So let me scroll back up to the top, because I think that's this custom text, and you don't have to do that, but I'm going to, because why not, right? So let me go find my hook, and it's gonna be tricky to fit it because I'm gonna have to edit it quite a bit. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of track, this is what I did last time. So I'm going to put the date that I run it, text, and then results, I guess. And we'll have to figure that out later. Oh yeah, and we had to decide about the dynamic bids. Do we want to let them bid like higher, or not. Like, you're gonna have an overall budget, so I could just I'm just gonna say, I think we're gonna do up and down. Starting bid, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, 65 cents is what I did. That's kind of helping me track what I've been doing. Increase your bid for, oh, this is new. I don't want to touch that just yet. Okay, and then we're going to name the campaign, right? It's the Stolen Kingdom. February, we're going to call it the February 2025 Ads Experiment. We'll do an end date of March 11th, I guess. And now the daily budget, you don't always spend this amount, right? I think. I remember I did like $5 in the past because I was nervous. I was like, I don't want to be spending crazy amounts of money. But in the ads course that he did $15. But I want to have a good experiment, so I want to have lots of results. So maybe I should do 15. It's only 1 month, and this is an experiment. Normally I think I would do like 10 or less, but I'm gonna be brave. Here we go. Ready? Launch campaign. Oh, we can't create it until you fix 1 or more issues. Okay, fix the issues with your keyword, which is what? Oh, there's no bid. Keywords related to your product category. Use a default bid. We're just going to do our 65 cents. Okay, let's try again. I think that was the only one. Launch campaign. It worked. Oh my gosh. Now what do I do? I'm so nervous right now. I don't know why. It looks like I had a total of 652 keywords. So that's good, right? That's a lot more than I expected. That's thanks to the publisher Rocket because I did not do that many. I did a good percentage though. That daily budget is making me a little nervous, so I'm going to keep an eyeball on it. I think we're going to call it for today, and I will come back and let you know how it goes. She won't let me put her down, but I've been able to do lots of walking and listening to the Amazon ads course that I was telling you about. And halfway through, because I didn't finish yesterday, if you remember me talking about that. Did I talk about it? I don't even know. I did like the priority lessons yesterday, but then today I was like, well, I have time. I'm going to listen while I'm feeding her and walking her to sleep, stuff like that. Apparently, the method that I did yesterday, where you just take all the keywords and dump them into one big ad, is no longer effective. I feel like they could have said that a little bit earlier on in the course instead of being like, here, take all the keywords and you can dump them. And then later on, they're like, but don't do that. I guess from my understanding, it seems like Amazon might look at an ad like that and be like, well, it's just not relevant to the people we're targeting. They're not clicking, or there's too many people who are like clicking away after they click on it. And then they'll decide not to push your ads, or because your ads aren't relevant to the readers that do click on them and they click away, then you're going to be wasting more money. He recommended doing like 20-ish keywords that are way more targeted and specific, and like little, what did he call them, groupings or like chunks that are related. So like, for example, a bunch of comp books. So I could do just like 20 specifically books that are related to the Stolen Kingdom or to the Secret Gift. And I could do like a list of 20 authors, like the top 20 that are like the most closest to those 2 books. I could do a list of like 20-ish tropes, I think would be one. Or I could do like genres, or like search terms is what he recommended, like things that people are going to type into the search bar. Those are the ones that are most iffy for me, where I have so many terms and I'm not totally sure how to narrow it down. This is a lot. This is getting expensive, but it's an experiment, and I'm not obviously going to keep all these ads going. I'm going to look at whichever one is the most effective and then keep that one going, I think. I still don't know how to review my ads, but what I am kind of discovering is that the first one I set up yesterday is probably not going to do that much for me. And I did take a look at it, and so far it's had 1 click. So I think that's kind of proving that. Yeah, I'm not going to show you the whole process because this video would be super long, but I'm going to set up an ad for comp books, an ad for comp authors, an ad for, I don't know, let's say tropes, and then an ad for search terms, or maybe just 2 different sets of those, and then maybe like a 5th one for like what's left over, because I feel like there's a few that just don't quite fit in a category, if that makes sense. And then maybe just so I can tell which one's working, I'll keep all the hooks the same. I think Amazon calls it the copy, the 150 characters of text that you can put with the book cover when the ad shows up. So I'm going to do this all one-handed. Let's go. Okay, after a lot of effort, I
think we have our next campaign. Let me just show you my tracking. So this is the second one I'm working on. And what I ended up doing is gathering up keywords like in bulk, but then making a more targeted list here where you can see the numbers on the side. Right now I just did the comp books right here in this category. I was working on doing this for the secret gift, and then I realized that actually I should be doing the Queen's Rise, the omnibus. Hold on. All right, I'm running out of time. So anyway, all that to say, I added in just 20 keywords, and I decided to do, if we're doing book comps, I decided to do the if you love these books, then you'll love my book. Sorry, I gotta go, but I figured that hook made sense with book comps. So this is what I got done today.
Okay, it's only day 4, but I have so much to share to catch you up on because I'm learning a lot. I reached out to my friend Mandy Lynn because she has Publisher Rocket and has for a while, and I was like, so what are your thoughts on this? Like, I'm very curious. And she said that for her, the Amazon ad side was actually not super helpful until more recently when he updated it, and that her value, the reason that she got it, was for the keywords on the publisher side. So what you do on the back end as an author, when you're uploading your book, you get 7 keywords on KDP, and that plus the category research is like where the value is for her. So I was like, oh my gosh, let me try it. I got super sidetracked from working on my ads, and I updated all my keywords on the Stolen Kingdom ebook, and then I did different ones on the paperback, and then I did the Queen's Rise and different ones on the secret gift. So, and then on top of that, I did the categories as well, and I realized that number 1, this is getting to be a very long vlog, and I apologize in advance. Where was I? Basically, I just got way sidetracked by keywords and categories, and I have to say, like, the categories were super helpful to learn about. Short version, because this is technically a whole other video not related to Amazon ads, but short version is I really liked how Publisher Rocket shows which categories will actually get you into the top 10 because it tells you how many books you need to sell to get to the top 10. I was like, I'm in a really tough category. Let me switch over to this category that's also fitting, but would be much more easy for my book to rank. If somebody's like looking at that category, my book would actually be potentially in the top 10. And then for keywords, I think Mandy was right. That's where Publisher Rocket really shined, was keywords on the, I guess, the publisher end. However you want to say it. I researched the keywords that I had on all my books, and they were terrible. Nobody was searching them. There was like less than 100 searches, sometimes like no searches. I thought villain origin story would be something people search, for example. Nope, not at all. I thought all my keywords were really good, and they were terrible. There was only like 1 that was actually reaching a decent amount of people. Only 1. Can you believe it? I know. So I was thinking, like, is this even worth it for Amazon ads, or is this software really more for, you know, the publishing side of things versus the marketing side? But then I came back to the ads and I was like, you know what? It actually did help me come up with a lot of variations, and it helped me expand. But when it comes to the ad side, I feel like I still did have to do some of that manual research to get it started. Like, I think especially knowing what comp books to put into Rocket was really important. My impression is that a lot of it I could do myself, but the Publisher Rocket keywords for ads actually would have saved a lot of time. If I hadn't done it manually myself, it would have saved me so much time. I could have just gotten it in a heartbeat and then picked the keywords that were most fitting. But it still gave me some keywords that I did not think of. So that was really, really helpful. And now let's get back to Amazon ads and talk results for the first few days, because I have 7 ads running total. The first one was that one with massive amount of keywords, and the rest were keyword groups. And I just want you to keep in mind that this is me learning, okay? This is definitely not me saying copy me, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me put you down really quick. This is my like keywords and categories on the publishing side, not the marketing side. Like I said, mine were terrible. These were the ones from Publisher Rocket that were way more effective. This is the page I'm really excited to show you, because you can see I've inputted all the ads I have made since, so I have 7 total. But I also went and dug up my old ad copy, and I just pulled all of it over, and I highlighted my favorite one right here, because when I looked at my ads, I took a screenshot of it here. This was my most successful ad, was back when I did something for the Ginny key release. I mean, it wasn't super successful because I didn't run it that long, but it sold a little more than twice as much as I spent. So I looked up what the ad copy was, and it was this right here. So I plugged that in as another potential ad copy that I could use in the future, but I wanted to keep testing the same ad copy here so that I could compare which ads are working based on keywords, not wondering if, oh, maybe it's because I changed the copy. That's just kind of the general advice, is don't change everything. Otherwise you won't know like what change was actually the one that worked. But I got so excited about that ad copy that I decided, why not try it in the actual blurb? So I made a new 2025 blurb. I'm going to go ahead and update my blurb just like I was telling you guys in the beginning of this video, because
because what if something like this worked? The issue is I can't decide what I like better because it's kind of long. If it starts with a loose retelling of Aladdin from the princess's perspective, and then it says a lamp, a heist, fate of the kingdom, her only hope is this, or if it starts with a lamp, a heist, and the fate of the kingdom on her shoulders, her only hope is this. Either way, this is so minor, but princess's perspective, I was always taught different things in grammar classes about how to pluralize this, and I'm so annoyed because I'm like, some things will tell you to put an apostrophe and not the ES, some things will tell you to put a SS apostrophe S, and some will say to do it this way, SSES, so I'm like, I don't know what's right. People are probably gonna judge me no matter what I do, but anyhow, I decided to go with this, and as you can see, I updated it on Amazon as well. But the last line in the old blurb was very similar to this, talking about the lamp and the heist and the Ginny Hunter, so I was like, well, I gotta swap that somehow. So I'm hoping that this last line, the old first line, put down as the last line might still be a good cliffhanger. I don't know. Let me know what you think, because it's always really hard as the author when you're way too close to something to know if it's actually going to grab people's attention. But I'm very excited about this update. Okay, so now the question is, I'm going to show you just my whole campaign dashboard. I don't know what I'm doing here, so I have not done much. As you can see, I've done very sporadic ads in the past, and I honestly don't think most of them did very well at all. But here's the ones that they call delivering. So those are my live ones that I've just put together now, okay? And if I scroll across to the side to see how they're doing, in my opinion, it's not good. It's really not good. So let me just give you my understanding of this. Impressions are when people actually see the ad, right? But do they actually click on it? Most of the time, no, which is really sad. Actually, hold on. I think this one was the one with like 600 plus keywords. And that's actually, funny enough, the one that's getting the most impressions by far. And the one that's getting, well, that's not a good number of clicks for that number of impressions. So clearly I don't know what I'm doing at all. That's terrible. So it looks like I've spent roughly $5, plus up here roughly $1. That's just something I wanted to point out because as you saw, the $15 daily budget can be very intimidating, but if you're not actually, getting clicks, then you're not spending money. So all of my actual money spent, here we go, right here, $5, and then this right here, so $6 roughly total have been spent in the last 4 days. And then this ACOS, I believe, is, I'm just gonna let you read that because I'm still learning, but no sales at all based on ads yet. The one thing I do remember learning is that you have to wait a few days because it doesn't always reflect, like say paperbacks I think are slow, for example. But I'll be honest with you, it's not looking good. It's looking like I need to do some more research and figure out why these ads are not performing. So let me get back to you when this little cutie is sleeping and gives me enough time to do some research, and we'll figure it out together. I'm gonna film this really fast before somebody comes out and sees me. I feel awkward, but I just have to say it's been a little over a week. I didn't do the 1 week check-in like I meant to because I just didn't have time. I think the last clip you saw, I was like, oh, it's no big deal. It's not even really spending any money. Well, I logged in like yesterday, 2 days ago. Everything's a blur with time right now in this season of life with a 2-month-old, but I logged in and I'm like, holy crap, how much did I spend? So I turned them all off. I was like, I don't have time to deal with this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need them to be off. This is the point where in the past I would quit. I'd be like, absolutely not. This is such a waste of time. I hate this. I don't get it. I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know what I'm doing, but I promise you guys an experiment. So I'm going to stick it out, but I'm not going to be spending that much. First of all, I'm not going to follow the whole like do multiple ads thing. Oh, somebody's coming. Awkward. Hello. I just do not like the advice of doing multiple ads and putting a ton of money into it. Like, if you want to throw a ton of money away, sure, why not? But now I really get why people say certain authors aren't actually making that much money. They look like they're a bestseller. They are a bestseller, but they're putting almost all their money back into ads, if that makes sense. Or like, not even back into, but like the way that they got those sales was by ads. And so they almost don't make anything. And I just don't want to have that kind of business model. I don't like it. So right now, I'm going to be honest with you, I am not impressed. Number one, because I'm not hardly selling anything. Like, I've gotten a bunch of sales of other books, but of the Stolen Kingdom, I have not seen any increase at all. So that's frustrating. Anyhow, I'm going to go inside and try to set up one ad, maybe two max. And I'm going to set the daily limit for like, I don't know, $5 or something like that, because I'm not here to be throwing all this money away if it's not even working. Anyway, can you tell I'm frustrated? Let's get to it. Okay, it is Sunday, February 23rd. I am calling it on this experiment for two reasons, I think, maybe three. And I'm going to explain because I've learned a lot. So where do I even start? Okay, first of all, one of the biggest things that I've learned is, let me just show you. Okay, so here are my last 3 that I set up. If we look at my tracking here, which I got it pretty sorted out, right? It was 8, 9, and 10. I decided to do this copy, a lamp, a heist, and the fate of the kingdom on the shoulders of a would-be queen. Her only hope is a genie hunter and his crew of thieves. And then what I ended up doing is taking first the keywords that I got for the publishing side. Because if you remember, I kind of did Publisher Rocket backwards. So this is Publisher Rocket. So what I did is I started on Amazon ads, did all the work, then I went all the way back to what's called the keyword search for the publishing side of things. And then I did competition and category. So I kind of went backwards. And what I should have done is started with this and gotten the keywords right on the publishing side, because I kind of hinted at this, but it turns out my keywords on the publishing side were terrible. So of course they weren't working on the marketing side of things. Anyhow, I went back and what I did is I took all the keywords that I've gotten for the publishing side and I used that for this first Amazon campaign right there. Yeah, so if I scroll over, I'm going to give you a hint at how these next 3 went. So it was 1, 2, and 3. They did better as far as impressions, right? More eyeballs were seeing these because the keywords were more accurate. And I should say actually more clicks as well, as you can see, but not a lot more. So I still don't think that I was quite accurate on the keywords. And I'll share why in a second. It was so frustrating. But anyhow, let me finish. So then using the publishing side keywords, I then used the ad side in Rocket using the new keywords from here on here. And I got a much better list of keywords that I did for this ad. And then finally, I did all the keywords that had performed in the last ad. So let me explain what that looks like. If you click into, like, say this ad right here, and then you go over to the search terms on this side, you can see which terms were actually clicked. So these are good terms, right? But then I went and I looked at some of the other terms. Now, my book is not Asian, so I feel like that's, of course, nobody's going to buy it if it's not fitting. It gets worse though, because free, I specifically put that as a negative keyword, and yet somebody was clicking on it. So what I'm going to point out to you in a second is how it says broad there for the match type. Kindlepreneur says to do broad in his video, but I would absolutely say that's a bad idea because it also gave me, where else? Stuff Your Kindle Day, that's also free. Romance books for young adult boys. What did the other campaign have? Dystopian books was in there. And then I also, in the past, previous campaigns, when I was going through all the keywords that did get clicks, one was gay, one was horror. And so my book, if you don't know, this is my book. It does not fall into any of those categories. It's a young adult fantasy retelling of a fairy tale of Aladdin. So I'm like, well, of course they're not going to buy it if they were clicking a keyword that didn't apply to my book. So that's the number one thing that I learned, is do not do this broad category. Make sure the phrases are exact. That's just my personal opinion if you're going to do ads. Just in case I forgot to say this earlier, I wanted to say I took some notes on if you get no impressions or very few impressions, then that kind of means that Amazon didn't really show it to anybody, which could mean that they don't think your keywords are relevant or nobody's searching those keywords. So I think that was my issue the first time around, is I was just picking things people weren't even searching, or Amazon was like, yeah, that's not your book. That doesn't apply. The second thing that could be going wrong is if you're not getting very many clicks on your book, or any at all, after you get a lot of impressions. This could mean that Amazon is showing it to a lot of readers, maybe not readers, a lot of shoppers who are maybe searching something similar along those keywords, but the ad isn't making them want to click. And that could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe just the book itself has issues, or maybe they aren't actually looking for a book like that. And again, the keywords aren't right. So it's kind of tricky to know what's true there. And then the third thing that could be going wrong is if you're getting a lot of impressions, you're getting a lot of clicks, but no sales, which is ultimately, well, I wouldn't say I got a lot of clicks, but I got no sales on any of the clicks that I did get. And I think that's because the keyword in the ad itself, they're working, right? They're doing their job. However, something isn't connecting. So in the course, they said that book itself is not appealing to the readers. Well, when I took a look at those keywords that I was telling you about, it wasn't appealing to the shoppers because they weren't actually looking for a book like mine. For whatever reason, they were getting keywords that weren't actually about my book. Basically, either it's different than what they're being advertised, or just not exciting enough for them to grab, which could be like the blurb or something like that. So the second thing I learned was a little more positive. It's that Publisher Rocket is actually very beneficial on the publishing side of things, like I was showing you a second ago. So they have keywords for when you're like putting the book on KDP. And then they have keywords for when you're doing ads. I just don't know enough about ads. I feel like they were more applicable once I got the publishing keywords right. The ad keywords were then more accurate and beneficial. So I just don't know. I just don't know enough about advertising to know that side. But the publisher rocket side, I would say was very beneficial because as soon as I updated my keywords, my sales went up. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, I wanted to say it was because of the ads, but when I looked, like only one of the books sold was The Stolen Kingdom. So I was like, well, yeah, it's not the ads. The reason that I'm calling it, my biggest takeaway of all is like this whole pay to play type of marketing is not for me. Let me explain. No matter how this plays out, even if I did figure out ads and I started actually making sales based on my ads, which by the way, I think I've made one sale so far and I've spent, oh gosh, I don't even want to know. Because that first one was like $100. This is just not good. Like, I don't even want to do the math right now, but it was at least $150 across the 10 ads that I did, right? Yeah. And I've made one sale. So clearly the ROI, return on investment, is horrible in my case, but I know a lot of people would argue, well, you just have to learn how to do it right and then you get an amazing return on investment. And like if, you know, you spend this much on book one, but then you have a series, so they buy through and eventually you make your money back through the other books in the series because they read book one. I think I don't like the spend money to make money system. I just don't like that. That's kind of my biggest takeaway is I could be doing this for free. I could be putting all of the royalties in my pocket instead of, you know, spending most of the royalty in advance to even making it and not even knowing if you're going to get it back. So that's kind of my takeaway is I am beyond excited to do the TikTok experiment / Instagram maybe experiment. And I've just been wanting to do social media. And I would just so much rather personally put my time into that because yes, there's no guarantee that that's going to work either, but I am only spending my time instead of my money. I know I told you guys I was going to do a longer ad experiment, but I just don't feel comfortable continuing to just basically throw away money. I don't want to do that. And if it was making any sort of traction, I would have stuck it out a little bit longer. But even if it was effective, I just don't feel like this kind of advertising is for me. And this is why every time people would ask me, why don't you do Amazon ads more? It's because it just doesn't feel like you're making any money as an author. And isn't that kind of the point, is to fund it so you can keep writing the books? Right? Ultimately, I guess I should add one last thing that I did get out of this was it did help me, you know, take a look at my sales page and do some refreshes. And I really like the new first line. Let me know what you guys think of it, because maybe it's just something that I like and you guys are like, no, I like the old first line better, you know, hook for the Stolen Kingdom. But I think that's one other benefit that came out of this experiment is it helped me to just take a look at my sales page, which I think is good to do now and then as authors. And I don't really do it very often. So that's my takeaway. Let me know what you think.